What's up, peeps? It's time for another Ask FP. You see, I get a little jazzy with the little intro. I'm trying to step up my game a little bit, but let's jump into these questions. The first one is from Rayan Haravi. He says, do you think the 2011 draft class was the best of all time? There was also depth like Richard Sherman. Well, obviously the 2011 draft looks to be pretty good, but it's really way too early for that, Rayon. I mean, we only talking about, 4 years now? If you're talking about the best draft classes ever, like most recently, you got to look at 1983. 1983 had, I believe, 8 guys going to Hall of Fame. Elway, Dickerson, Kurt Warner, the running back, Jimbo Covert, Bruce Matthews, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino. But the biggest of all time was in 64. 10 guys from that draft class went to the Hall of Fame, including Roger Staubach, Bullet Bob Hayes, Paul Warfield, Leroy Kelly, and Mel Winfrey. So that would be, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. You're talking about accomplishments. Beast Mode says, what are my top 5 WWE Superstars of all time? Hulk Hogan. Without him, none of this other stuff would be possible. Just period. Randy Savage, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and number 5. No, it's not Booker T, but it's a tie between Shawn Michaels and John Cena. Y'all can hate all y'all want. John Cena he deserves to be in the top 5. Next up is Bills Golden State Warriors A's, better known as Kizzy or Kissel. He says, do you think it's realistic for the Bills to be contenders soon? He's a Bills fan. I definitely think it's realistic. I mean, they have obviously the makings of what they need on defense. With Mario Williams, just a great pass rush. Period. When Kiki Alonso comes back, the second unit, the second level of defense is good. Stephen Gilmore is a great leader of the secondary. They got to get things together offensively, but that can come together fairly quickly. Modeling the team with the defense first and ball control offense, similar to what Seattle has done, is a realistic route. He also wants to know, do you think that Ralph Wilson was the best owner of all time? May God bless his soul. Well, God rest everybody's souls passed away. In regards to him being the greatest owner, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. Definitely some great accomplishments under his watch. 4 straight Super Bowls, even though they didn't win any of them. And just for the most part, by most people's opinion, you would say is a well-run organization that's grounded in the right type of things. So I really don't know. There's a lot of beloved owners out there. So obviously Ralph Wilson is one of those guys. Simon Torvey Sunland says, do you think that the Seahawks will bounce back next season and possibly reach Super Bowl 50? It's definitely a possibility. I mean, for the most part, all of the major components that they need are coming back. But with the NFL especially, you can't really ever say anything like that until you see how injuries are going to impact everything. I mean, just think about it. Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas go down. Seahawks are looking a lot different. Marshawn Lynch, even though I think they'd be better than people expect without Marshawn Lynch, but Marshawn Lynch goes down, it changes things. Russell Wilson goes down, it's done. And people can say what they want, but Russell Wilson goes down, they're in trouble. The Great Patriot says, Marc Gasol is most likely going to get a max contract. Is he worth it? I'm not as big a Marc Gasol fan as everybody else is. Is he a really good center? And yeah, and you'll see where I have him in, a few questions from now. But yes, but I'm just not a person to say you throw around max contracts like running water. You end up with guys like Joe Johnson getting max contracts. He's not a max player. And so I don't think Marc Gasol is a max player, but I think he's probably the next level below that. But he's going to get it anyway. Next up, we got Noah Jensen. You can't really see his name under there. I'm sorry about that, Noah, but you had the big question here. It says, what Super Bowl loss do you think would be the most heartbreaking if you were a part of the losing team? The Seahawks recently lost to the Patriots. The Titans lost to the Rams. The Bills lost to the Giants after a 19-point blown lead. Or the Patriots lost to Giants ending the perfect season, or something else. I got to look up that Bills-Giants thing. I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know if it was a 19-point. It might have been. I can't remember. But I would still say the Seahawks-Patriots loss would probably be the toughest, because you got to wonder, when you lose and you wonder about what if I would have done this one thing on this one play. that to me makes it tougher. So just wondering what happens if I handed it to Marshawn Lynch makes it tougher. Noah Jensen also says, what is your dark horse and what team do you think is the most likely to disappoint in the upcoming MLB season? My dark horse is the Chicago White Sox. They have really done a lot with that pitching staff. You got Chris Sale and Samardzija right at the top of the rotation. Man, you still got Abreu. I mean, I really think you got to watch them. Now, my team that to me is primed to disappoint is the Padres. I don't believe in James Shields. I don't trust Matt Kemp to stay healthy. And even if he does, I don't know if he's going to regain that near MVP form. So that's the team I'm thinking could really disappoint. Noah Jensen also says, how frustrating has it been watching Pau Gasol's interior defense or lack thereof this season? Here's the thing about Gasol. You look at the block shots, and you look at the rebound, and you're like, oh, what are you talking about? How could he be playing bad interior defense? But you got to watch the games to see why and where he's falling short in terms of interior defense. And don't get me wrong, he's still the best free agent signing this side of LeBron James this season. But he does not move his feet on the pick and roll, and he does not play aggressively enough when trying to cut off lanes when his guy gets beat. And the Bulls' defense is predicated on the perimeter defenders funneling guys to the bigs. And sometimes Gasol's just not where he's supposed to be. Walter Davis says, who do you think is the best NXT prospect? Keep up the good work. Great work. I'm sorry. Thank you, Walter. It's kind of tough, but I would probably say Sami Zayn, because I think Sami Zayn, combination of mic work, in-ring ability, overall charisma, I think he is the best. I think Adrian Neville lacks something on the mic. We don't know about Corbin on the mic. I'm wondering about him. Kevin Steen is really good, so he was right up there. And then Finn Balor, even though I don't like him like everybody else does, obviously has a lot of talent. Jovan Radovanovic, I believe. I hope I say that right. Do you think that Steph Curry has a chance of being the MVP this season? He definitely has a chance. But I think he's going to lose out some votes because, Klay Thompson is amazing, and he's right next to him. I think James Harden has the best chance to win MVP because he's been killing it, leading the league in scoring, and now Dwight Howard is out for an extended period of time, which creates the same type of opportunity that Durant had last year when he was able to keep OKC afloat with Westbrook out. So I think because of that, I think that's why James Harden has the inside track to win. Jalen Cook says, can the Dallas Mavericks win without Rajon Rondo? I don't think they can win with Rajon Rondo or without Rajon Rondo. We're talking about a championship. Can they be a good team? Yeah. Are they going to go to the playoffs? Yeah. With or without Rondo, they're going to go to the playoffs. But I don't think that with or without him, they're a real championship contender. To me, Rondo's the type of guy who has to be surrounded by great offensive players in order for him to be really the type of leader of a good team. And I don't think he has that necessarily with Dallas. You got Monte and you got Dirk, but I just think there's something missing there. He also wants to know, who are your top 5 centers currently in the NBA? So this was what I was talking about a little bit earlier. My personal opinion, Dwight Howard is still the number 1 center. Still the number 1 center in the NBA. Number 2 is DeMarcus Cousins. Number 3 would be Vucevic with Orlando. Number 4 would be Marc Gasol. And number 5 would be DeAndre Jordan. A similar question like this was asked a couple weeks ago, but it was a little bit different, which is why I answered it this time as well. Anthony Valorio says, even if Melo doesn't win a ring, do you think he will be a Hall of Famer or just one of those players who was good? I think whether or not he wins a ring or not, he's a Hall of Famer. You look at case studies like Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins is in the Hall of Fame, very similar statistically to Melo. Obviously, on the floor they're different, but statistically they're very similar. Big time scorers, good rebounders for the small forward position. Melo probably even a better rebounder than Neek, but no championship ring for Neek. Probably no championship ring for Melo. So I think either way it goes, he's a Hall of Famer. Anthony Valoria also wants to know, do you think Madden 16 will add living environments in the game, like bad teams with having sparse crowds and good teams having loud crowds, also having it where historical loud stadiums sound louder, like CenturyLink Stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, and the Superdome? I could see something like that happen. I don't think that's totally out of the way, but I'll say this. the Madden and the NFL. The NFL is real funny about things that maybe might make a franchise look bad because it's all about business for them, which, I can't really blame them. So if that would be looked at as like making the Jaguars organization look bad, you might not see it. Chris Typhoon said it was the best ball handling shooting guard. He says, I'm stuck between Pete Maravich, Iverson, and T-Mac. So if we're talking about just flash, I would probably say Pete Maravich, because if you just look at some of the stuff, Pete Maravich is a wizard, crazy with the ball. But turnovers was pretty high if you look at his statistics. Go back and look at some of those stats. You'll see the turnovers was pretty high. And anybody wondering about him in the Legends class, he's already on the Atlanta team. I'll probably stick with that one because it's pretty high rated. In terms of just efficiency, though, I don't know. I'd probably say T-Mac if we're talking about just efficiency. And not, he had nice, pretty handle too, but, just more or less efficiency, I would probably say T-Mac. Nora Draper says, could you see NBA 2K having a Legends Association mode like what you're doing with your roster with tons of legends? I don't think they'll have a Legends Association mode. Essentially, they already have that with my league and just the things you can already do. I don't think they'll make a big deal out of it, like making it a mode. I hope they wouldn't do that because essentially it would be them masking something that they already had and bringing it back out like it's brand new, unless they add something cool to it like retro cameras and retro presentation, which I think would be awesome. I would love that. If you have a Legends Association, I'm bleeding into this next question, but if you have a Legends Association and then when you play, they had something like this before, but when you play at a 50-60 team, the game is in black and white if you're on their home court, and that kind of stuff would be awesome. Noah Draper also says, who's your pick to make the NBA Finals and win it all? Right now, he says that he has the Hawks and Hawks losing to the Grizzlies. I say Cavaliers beating Memphis right now. Cleveland is playing like everybody hoped they wouldn't play, especially us in Chicago, but right about now they look really nasty. And I'd say they come out of the East and beat Memphis. Malcolm Walker says, what are your thoughts on this year's Saturday night All-Star events, and who do you have winning each event? Take care. You too, Malcolm. In terms of Saturday, now, because like the Rising Stars Challenge is on Friday. So they changed the format now. It's the top first year and second year Americans against the top first and second year world teams, or international teams. So you're just talking about the All-Star weekend stuff. The dunk contest, I have Zach LaVine. And the three-point shootout, I got Klay Thompson. Even though the three-point shootout is going to be amazing. The people that are in that are just crazy. But I got Klay Thompson. Evan F., Mr. Game of Fame, says, do you think quarterbacks are looked at differently if they don't win a Super Bowl, i.e. Dan Marino? I absolutely think that that's the case. I think that, if fair or not, I think that's the way it goes. If you don't win a Super Bowl, if you don't win a Super Bowl, it's just like not. If you don't win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, and the quarterback is the only position that's like this in the NFL. If you don't win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, it's just like not winning a championship in the NBA if you're a great player, because you are looked at as having such an effect on the game that if you were a real winner, you could lead your team to a championship. I think it's more fair in basketball, but it still exists in the NFL. Jalen Cook says, do you think that the EA will use face scanning technology in a future NHL game? I do think that's going to happen, even though those guys have on helmets and whatever, and the push to use face scanning in sports where the players wear helmets is probably is not as hard as it is or as strong as it is like in the NBA. But I think that that's just the wave of how all sports games are going. So I certainly think you're going to see that in an NHL game shortly. Matt Price says, when will the John Cena character evolve? I don't know exactly what that means to everybody. I think the only place you really could go is going to being a heel. So when is that going to happen? I don't know. I feel like it probably has to happen at some point. But I don't know. I don't know when it will happen. And one way I want it to happen, because I want people to see just how amazing this dude is. And he's going to be a great heel. And it'll be a new challenge for him. But I understand the hesitancy, because he has so many kids that are fans. And kids don't know how to process information the way an adult does. And so they see him start doing bad stuff and messes with their whole feeling about stuff. So, they're just walking carefully with that whole thing. Matt Price also says, is TNA in the same spot it was 10 years ago, and could it ever be on Monday night to start another war? I don't think. Only way I think TNA can do that is if TNA is bought out by somebody who is a flashy type of an owner that has some money to spend, and maybe they get a nice TV deal with somebody like Spike or something like that. But just as it is now, I don't think so. Jovan is back, and he's got, do you think that D Rose will ever be able to play like he did in his MVP season? It's all mental for Rose right now. It's all mental. The speed is there. The explosion for the most part is there. I don't know if the leaping ability is quite like it was, or if he's just holding back some when he does leap. But everything he needs to beat guys off the dribble, which is what his game was predicated on, is there. The jump shot really is not much different than it was then. He's just shooting more of them, so you're seeing him miss more. But the percentage in which he's making them is really pretty much the same. He has to get back to attacking the basket, which I think is slowly but surely coming. But I don't know if maybe we won't see this around the playoffs or maybe next season, but I do think it's coming barring another injury. Jumpman Retro 2 says, what do you think NBA Live will do this year coming? I'm an EA fan, not a fanboy, but Live 15 was okay. Do you see them improving in 16? I do. I see them consistently improving, and that's the key. Which is why I think if 2K wants to remain where they are, not saying that Live can catch them definitely, because it's still a gap, but I think 2K needs to bring in things like carryover saves and things to extend my career from one season, from one version of the game to the next. It's only going to make guys more vested, make people more vested in the entire 2K experience. If everything starts over at the beginning of every year, then now I can pretty much reevaluate, do I want to buy Live or 2K every year? You need to kind of take that decision out of the customer's hands and say, hey, you've been playing this for 10 years. You're going to keep playing it because we letting you keep your saves. Brandon Noel says, when do you think Kane versus Fabricio or Demetrius Johnson versus John Dodson 2 is going to happen? I think barring an injury to Dodson or another injury to Dodson or Velasquez, I think both of those fights happen this year. But things are going so crazy in the UFC right now, man, with steroids and injuries. I don't know, man. It's starting to lose some of its momentum. KC Deportes says, do you see Hassan Whiteside as a great role player or star in the near future? Cheers from Mexico. What up, Mexico? Killing it. I like that. I think that Hassan Whiteside is a very good role player. I wouldn't use the word great with him just yet. The body of work isn't big enough for me to use that term or word. But he certainly has the makings of, the difference between him and like Jeremy Lin is he's rebounding and he's blocking shots. That's not going to go into a slump. That's not system based. That's not anything like that. If you can rebound, you 7 foot and you can rebound and you block shots, you're going to take that skill wherever you go. You just need the minutes. So I definitely think he has much more staying power than Jeremy Lin. Brandon Noel says, wouldn't it be cool if in WWE 2K16 you can counter a finishing move into your own finishing move? I think that would be really awesome as long as logistically it makes sense. Like, you can't counter, you can't counter I guess you could. I was about to say you can't counter the world's strongest slam into a RKO, but I guess you could. You probably couldn't. I don't know. I guess you could counter anyone, but you just have to have the right animations put in to make the counter look right. You don't want to see this missing frames in between. You need everything to be succinct. And last but not least, Dabs106 says, why does Tibbs not play Doug McDermott? He thought he was a perfect fit with the Bulls, especially now. Well, McDermott got hurt at the wrong time, and that really hurt his momentum with the squad. And Tibbs is kind of rough on rookies. So, from a skill standpoint, it looks like that. But you got to remember, he's only shooting like 26% from three-point range in the time that he has played, and like less than 60% from the free throw line, which is not what we expected. So it's not all on Tibbs. That'll do it for this episode of Ask FP. Y'all see, I kept a little border up there a little bit longer. I got a new Twitter handle and a new Instagram handle. So you guys make sure you subscribe or follow to those. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. I appreciate everybody watching. God bless y'all. Peace.